Let's talk about the Great American Outdoors Act. I know it includes many things, including cutting that maintenance backlog for our national parks in half. That's something you've championed in previous legislation. Uh, Put simply, what will this mean for the Smokies if it passes?
Well, here's what it means for the Smokies. The Smokies has $224 million of deferred maintenance. That's worn out trails, roads with potholes, leaky roofs, rundown buildings. To be specific, there's a campground, Look Rock Campground on Chilhowie Mountain that's been closed for 5 or 6 years because of a sewage system that doesn't work. 5,000 families usually use that. What this bill would do is pay for dealing with half of the Smokies' deferred maintenance over the next 5 years. Smokies' budget is about $20 million a year. Its deferred maintenance budget is 10 to 12 times that. So all these things wouldn't get done for 15 or 20 years, or maybe never, without this bill or something like it.
Maybe create some jobs in the process, a lot of work.
Well, it should create jobs in the process. It's also good news for the Cherokee National Forest. A lot of us East Tennesseans don't realize that the Cherokee National Forest is actually larger than the Smokies, and it attracts 3 million visitors a year, which is more than many of the Western parks do. And it has a $27 million backlog, so this will help with the roads and the access to that, as well as the Tennessee Wildlife Refuge in West Tennessee.
So I noticed the proposal calls for the Land and Water Conservation Fund to be fully funded permanently. What does that mean for the average taxpayer?
Well, all of this is paid for by energy exploration on federal land. So the idea is you create an environmental burden, that's drilling for oil and gas offshore, and you create an environmental benefit, that's spend $900 million a year to buy treasured land. For example, Senator Daines in Montana says that 80% of the fishing access lands in Montana have been bought by Land and Water Conservation Fund.
Okay, so it could stand to benefit. I understand Tennessee has received some of that fund over the years. It stands
Tennessee's received a lot of money from the Land and Water Conservation Fund every year. The federal government will get $450 million and the states will get $450 million. And Tennessee will get some of that $450 million for lands like Rocky Fork, which is the new state park up in Upper East Tennessee.
All right, and Senator, while I have you, I understand conversations are going on about more coronavirus relief right now. Where are those talks and what type of relief do you support going forward?
Well, first, we should spend wisely the $3 trillion plus $3 trillion more dollars in credit that we've already spent. Not all of that money has even gone out to the hospitals and to the states yet. One area that I'm particularly interested in is making sure that our public schools, and we have about 1,850 in Tennessee, have enough money to allow children to go back to school in August or September. We want them to do that safely, and that's going to cost some money for sanitation equipment, for separators between the children when they have meals, for new busing routes, maybe for new classroom space. Everybody wants the children to go back to school, parents, the children themselves, but everybody wants to make sure that's done safely. So the federal government may have to contribute additional funds to help make that possible.
That was my next question about school in the fall. I know you and a lot of parents out there want to get students back in the classroom, but my question was going to be what's being done to make sure local districts have the resources to reopen safely, and what do you say to people worried about a second wave?
Well, we're going to have a second wave. There's no doubt about that, but we've got to learn to live with it. And fortunately, what we've discovered is that children are much less affected by COVID-19 than those of us who are older. So I think we've learned what it takes. What it takes is staying apart, 6 feet apart. That's easier to do at the University of Tennessee than it is at Maryville Middle School. Washing your hands a lot, and then wearing a mask. Those 3 things will do more than anything else to keep people safe and allow us to go back to school, back to work, out to eat.
I have 2 final questions here. Hope I don't hold you over.
No, I'm
Right on the local level, certainly in Knoxville and around the state and around the country, there's a lot of conversations going on about police reform after the death of George Floyd. I'm just curious to know if there's any types of change that you would support at this time. I know the president just made a major announcement from the Rose Garden there.
Well, most decisions about policing have to be made locally, but Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina has been working with a group of Republican senators to come up with a number of proposals that would give states and local communities more support for training, incentives not to use chokeholds or getting rid of chokeholds entirely, a number of steps that would make it easier for the whole community to be involved. Senator Scott himself is African American. And he told me once in a Bible study, and he said I could repeat it, that he was stopped 7 times for being a black man in the wrong place in his hometown when he was chairman of the county council of Charleston, South Carolina. So I think a lot of those of us who are white don't know that happens. And what we need to do is to support efforts that can have to come locally, that can cause police and communities, including the African American and other minority communities, to feel comfortable and safe in the areas where they live.
Well, my last question, Senator, and you may not want to talk about this because you guys are going full steam ahead, but you've clocked in more days of public service than any Tennessean, and all of that is, of course, coming to a close later this year. The race for your job is getting pretty hot right now. But my question is, as this year and all that it has shaped out to be, have you had a moment to pause and kind of reflect on that all of this is sort of coming to a close?
Well, this has been a pretty fast year. Someone asked me the other day, what about ramping down? I said, wait a minute, we've had impeachment of a president, tornadoes, and coronavirus so far this year, and who knows what comes next. I consider every single day that I have the opportunity to be a United States Senator a privilege. I know it doesn't look like that sometimes to people from a distance, but it really is. I mean, I get to work on helping to create new medical miracles, helping to take care of the Great Smoky Mountains, helping to create fast new tests so people can tell whether they have COVID-19, and it doesn't always work. But it's a great privilege to be here. So that's what I think about, and whoever is fortunate enough to succeed me, I think will feel the same way after he or she gets here.
So no time to sit back and pause and get all sentimental yet?
Not at all, not at all. Not in the middle of impeachment, not in the middle of tornadoes, and not in the middle of coronavirus.